Hello, Red Devils United. Well, it's that time of the year when managers start getting sacked. And this year was no different. It all started when Tottenham sacked Mauricio Pochettino and brought in Jose Mourinho. And then the following week, news came out that Unai Emery will be getting the sack. And he did after Arsenal lost their game to Frankfurt over the last week. And then today, Watford sacked their manager, Quique Sanchez Flores, who was in the job for just 3 months. And does that, is that like a warning to Solskjaer that he might be next on the sacking list? Well, to know more, stay tuned. Well, before we move ahead, please subscribe to our channel, share with us your views and comments in the comment section below, press the bell icon to be notified of any new content that we put up, and share our videos and content with every Manchester United fan that you know. Well, this week, United had to play two games, one in the Europa League and the other in the Premier League. And so we were playing Astana away in the Europa League, and we had to play Aston Villa at home on Sunday. And Solskjaer rested the first team for the Aston Villa game, and this gave a lot of debuts to a lot of our academy youngsters for the Astana game. It was practically our under 23 side that turned up against Astana, so that our first team could rest and come out fresh and fit and all guns blazing for the game against Aston Villa. But what happened? Out of possible 6 points that we could take over the two competitions, we came away with a loss against Astana, and we barely managed to draw the game against Aston Villa at home at Old Trafford. So let's take a look at the Astana versus United game first. Well, it was Solskjaer's strategy to rest the first team for the busy week ahead, because there are a lot of festive fixtures coming up for United and a lot of midweek fixtures. And any opportunity for rest would have been well received by the first team players, because United is short of options across attack, midfield and defense at the moment. And this opened a chance for a lot of our academy youngsters to showcase their talent on the big stage, even though it's Europa Cup, but for them it's a big stage. And being in front of a lot of supporters on the European stage, and stake a claim for a first team chance for Solskjaer, because we seriously lack options in midfield, and this was a good chance for a lot of our youngsters like Garner, Dylan Lewitt, to make a case for a first team position. Well, this game really was a tale of two halves. The first half clearly belonged to United. We were fit, fresh, young. The youngsters, tried to do their thing on the pitch. Jesse Lingard managed to score after 300 days. He was the only senior player apart from Luke Shaw on the pitch. And this was a game where Luke Shaw was given a chance to prove his match fitness for the fixture pile-up coming up ahead for Manchester United. And for the first half, it seemed like United was controlling the game really well and that we would come out with a win. But come second half, everything changed, especially when Chong missed that sitter. You never get any chance like that on a plate, be it Premier League or Europa League. You have to convert those chances. But Chong, being a youngster, he will make mistakes. And as soon as that goal was missed, Astana came back, got their equalizer, and then they started pushing forward. And then it was a game of men against boys. And this is where our fitness levels, started dropping, and we could see a lot of youngsters tiring out or cramping out. And that's where, we started losing the game. And then Astana managed to score the second goal, and they kept their lead. So, but it's still, good for us in the Europa Cup, because we've qualified for the knockout rounds. However, we have to ensure that we do win the last game at Old Trafford against AZ Alkmaar to ensure that we finish the group in the first position and avoid some of the Champions League teams that do drop into the Europa Cup for the knockout stages. Put a strong team on paper against Aston Villa. Aston Villa is a team, that's just come up from the Championship, but has put in some decent performances. However, playing at Old Trafford, this United team was expected to win. Maybe not a clear win, but at least a close win. But things unraveled differently on the pitch when Aston Villa took the lead via brilliant Jack Grealish stunner. And this opened a can of worms again for Manchester United in that midfield position. Fred is a good player, but his partnership with Andres Pereira is questionable, especially because Andres Pereira goes missing, and he's been missing for a long time now. What do you say, Sagar? That Liverpool game where we thought that the Andres Pereira that we know, where some people thought that he is a future Ballon d'Or winner with all his qualities and potential and his ball playing abilities, and the Andres Pereira that is turning up now, like how far has he fallen, from that Liverpool game?
I think, to be very honest, Andres Pereira, in my opinion, is a backup player or at best a mid-table midfielder. And that is what Manchester United are at this moment, a mid-table team. And that is the reason why we have those midfielders playing for us. And as you mentioned, after Grealish scored that goal, I think it was around 11 minutes. And for the next 20 minutes or 25 odd minutes, we had no urgency at all. Given that Solskjaer actually rested these players during the midweek game, and how we showed up for this Aston Villa game does not make sense at all. Why do you think our players lacked that mobility in the midfield or throughout the game and started actually playing around the 41st minute when we actually scored the first, the equalizer? Why do you think that happened?
Well, that's an interesting question because given that these players were rested, everyone expected them to, come out all guns blazing, especially at Old Trafford. And given that it's an important game before, Mourinho brings his Tottenham squad to Old Trafford, that's an important, very, very important fixture for us. And this game we were expected to win and, at least move up to the 5th position over Tottenham and close the gap to top 4. But, our players, see, they put in the effort. We could see the effort being put out on the pitch. They go out and leave it all out. It's just that midfield position where, our players go missing. And with the kind of fullback options that we have, Aaron Van Bissaka is a good defender. But in the event of a bad midfield, we need the fullbacks to push forward and get the ball to the attackers. But Anthony Martial, Marcus Rashford, Daniel James, they were all starved of service. So, there was no urgency from the defenders or our midfielders to push the ball forward. And with Marta in that 10th position, we can forget our counter-attacking options as well, because we know that Marta has lost pace.
Yeah.
He's a good player, but he's not of Premier League quality anymore. And it's visible. It's sad to see these players, fall from grace and put in bad performances, even though they put in the effort. And that is not enough for this United squad.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying, because we bought Harry Maguire for 80 million and we have started to make him look like a below par performer in our team. That is the effect which other players are having to him. But the one thing I would say is, I completely agree that when you say the players lack a definite quality in the team, but don't you think Solskjaer, with whatever available resources he has at this moment, should be able to win a game against Aston Villa at home? Because if we had won this game, we would have moved to 6th position, I guess, joint 5th with Tottenham. So where do you think it's all going wrong? Is it Solskjaer lacking those coaching abilities? Or is it just that he has the right ideas, but the players have not been able to transform those or replicate those on the pitch?
That's a good question. That opens up, another Pandora's box. When we sacked Jose Mourinho, it was because the players were unhappy with him, and he frankly destabilized the dressing room, and the atmosphere was very sour at Old Trafford. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came in as a breath of fresh air, and people liked him instantly. The players took to his ideas and came up with those amazing performances. With the 15 fixtures that we won, and which ended with the PSG Champions League away game. And after that, it's all been downhill. These players, even though they say they love Solskjaer and they want him to be the coach and they play for him, But the difficult part to understand is that if the players are playing for the manager, but the performances are not showing it, that's where we lack. That's where the strategies, the tactics come into question, or the quality of the players, come into question. Like if the players are playing for the manager, then the quality on the pitch is not good enough for Manchester United to, put in good performances and fight for top four or even avoid relegation spots. So I feel that the board, the coaching staff, starting from Solskjaer and his backroom staff, the physio department at Old Trafford, and the players, every one of them are to be blamed. We knew that we have entered this season with some glaring holes in the midfield without any backup options, with a squad that's low on quality, that's depleted, and that does not have some good midfielders with creative abilities to change the game with their own talent alone.
Yeah, but don't you think it's justified to say that this particular United team should be floating around 5th, 6th, or 7th position and at least getting those results to show for when we face the bottom half teams? From if we take 15 and below teams, we have still been struggling with those teams while facing those teams. At least at home, we should be seeing those results with the quality of players we have. I totally agree when you are saying that the people at fault here at the board, the coaching staff which Solskjaer has, and the lack of quality with the players. But still, we should be looking at some kind of progress, because Solskjaer has been here for almost a year now. So we should be starting to see results at this moment, at least some kind of results to make the fans happy and keep on board with the idea of giving him time, giving him transfer windows to get in those players. So how do you actually justify that in terms of saying, is it just enough to put everything on the players and Solskjaer, or do you see something else going wrong at Manchester United at this moment?
I think it's wrong to put all the blame on Solskjaer at the moment. A lot of the blame needs to be taken up by the board as well, starting with Ed Woodward and some of the questionable decisions that he made. We knew that Paul Pogba never wanted to stay at United,
right?
Past the previous season,
right?
And we should have let him go, and we should have invested in a couple of midfielders.
Yeah.
Even though getting in 5 new signings sort of disrupts the squad, but I think by the middle of the season, players start gelling in.
Yeah, for sure.
And
yeah,
you can see those good performances, coming out on the pitch. But with the kind of quality that we have, we have a good attacking squad, like not a squad, but good attacking options up front, and a defense that's relatively stable compared to the last few years at United. But that's where the problem lies. It's like the players are giving their all, but things are not clicking for Solskjaer, and that comes down to strategy as well,
right,
to the players' fitness as well, because we see that after 60 minutes they start dipping in the fitness levels. There's no rush. There's no onslaught of attack when we're losing a game. We just go ahead and change. And Solskjaer also sits back, for 72nd or 75th minute before, making some changes. And today was no different. He hacked off Mada in like the 72nd minute.
Yeah.
When Mada should have been taken off
way before that.
Yeah. And Lingard should have been brought on to get that momentum for the forward players so that they could get the ball and start creating some chances.
Right. Yeah. So that actually brings me to another point, that Solskjaer lacks those real-time man management skills when you take players off and bring in players who can make a real difference. For me, that would have been Mason Greenwood, who could have gotten like 30 minutes on the pitch and actually made things happen. Instead of us scoring, going up 2-1, we could have easily been 3-1 and easily might have won that game. So do you think, given that Solskjaer lacks those strategical moves and does not make those in time, do you think, given the board backs him in the transfer window and gets all the players he needs, do you still think he can bring us to the level we want us to see? We want to see Manchester United be at. Do you think that's still possible?
Well, given the current state of affairs, I still feel that's possible because Solskjaer was brought in for a reason. He's a United-bred player through and through, and he's trying to bring that philosophical change and an attitude change in the players so that they play for the badge rather than playing for themselves. And this was something that United missed over the last few seasons, especially with David Moyes, Louis van Gaal, and Jose Mourinho coming on board and getting their kind of players, who never really felt at home with United. And that was the first problem that Solskjaer had to tackle, is like, how do we attract the players who want to play for Manchester United, who can bring back the good times? And this requires patience. But then again, the results need to show on the pitch as well.
Yeah.
Like
we are in a results-oriented business, right? So
we are, but the performances, there has been improvement, but I wouldn't say the improvement's been big. We've been depending a lot on the youngsters, and especially with Brandon Williams. Like, he's still not a first-team starter. He's a good player. He needs to be nurtured. But then all of this, youth, courage, glory, action, some of that bullshit that Manchester United came up with when they signed Daniel James, does not stand in this world of men.
Right.
We have to have some experienced players in the squad, and that is what we lack at the moment. Mm-hmm. And the board, seriously missed an opportunity to get in a few experienced players and nurture in the youngsters slowly, so that moving in the future we'll have a good balanced squad. Right. And this is one of the challenges that Solskjaer is trying to address. And at the moment, I feel we need to give him another, transfer window if his project has to be, committed to United.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. Like, I at this moment am not Solskjaer out, but the thing is, I am worried for him because he is going to get himself sacked because he is not putting out those results. So that brings a lot of dissatisfaction among the fans at this moment, and that's a lot of pressure for a manager to be given the run of form we have going forward. Because we have Jose Mourinho coming to Old Trafford for the first time after his sacking, and that will be really ironic, the fact that he was replaced by Solskjaer and he puts the final nail in his coffin as the Manchester United manager. So that will be really exciting to watch, I guess. Like
seeing the nail going into Solskjaer's coffin.
Yeah, but yeah,
I don't know.
I am really excited for the game. Because United do tend to show up against the bigger opponents and put up a good performance because we know a lot is at stake. So
I think more than that, it's like the bigger teams, they want to come and attack and win the games.
Right.
And when big teams do that, they leave a lot of open spaces that allows our players to move in and counter-attack and get a goal. This is what these smaller teams do not do, and this is something that Solskjaer has failed to address. And that is where I'm on point with you, that tactically Solskjaer needs to improve. I feel like he's learning on the job, which isn't something that Manchester United managers should do. But the board backs him at the moment, and I feel, if we've committed to him, let's be committed to his project, even though his results are not backing him up. He's playing for the sack at the moment. And if he's playing for the sack, he should be a bit adventurous and become more tactical, like Mourinho, who hacked off Eric Dyer in the 34th minute. Eric Dyer is Mourinho's darling. But Mourinho took him off in the 34th minute, and that changed the game for Tottenham. This is something that we need to do at United. If something's not working, change it before halftime or at halftime, and set the tone for the team and let the players know, hey, you're not safe. You may be good, you may be on high wages, you're not safe. We need players who can change the game. And if you're not able to do that, off you go.
Right. Yes, I think similar changes could have been made today as well. Like, Pereira was not playing well, Mata was not playing well. They could have been easily replaced or substituted by, I think, Greenwood could have been brought on, or Lingard could have been brought on to actually make things happen in front of the front three. So I completely agree in terms of saying that Solskjaer needs to be very aggressive going forward and actually show performances on the pitch and start bringing results home, because that is what eventually fans want. We want Manchester United to win games. Even though it means that we ship in a couple of goals, we can outscore teams as well, and that really shows progress as well. And Yeah, so
we saw
really
that.
excited to.
We saw that against Sheffield as well.
Yeah.
Sheffield was 2-0 up,
Right.
and suddenly we bombarded Sheffield's half with attacking players and took the game to Sheffield, and we could see the pressure building up on Sheffield United players. They were tiring out, and that's when we scored 3 goals. This is something that we have to do with every smaller team like
Right.
Aston Villa, or Sheffield, West Ham United, or Wolves, or Watford. These are the games that we have to start winning now.
Right.
Big games, okay, we turn up and Solskjaer manages to, save his job for a while.
Right.
But then a couple of smaller teams and he's back on the sacking board.
Right. So, what do you think the result would be on Wednesday when Mourinho comes to Old Trafford?
That's an interesting game. Mourinho is a very tactical manager.
Yeah, he knows everything about
He's very
United
clever
at
and he
this
knows these players
Right.
inside out because we've not managed to change a lot.
Right.
And I feel Mourinho will start the game, on the front foot because United is slow off the blocks, even
Right.
at Old Trafford. His strategy would be to come and score 2 goals off the bat, and we know
Sit
we'll
back,
never
yeah.
make it.
Yeah.
We'll never break down the Mourinho team that has potential to defend
Right.
really well, even though the defense is questionable.
Yeah, off late
might
they
I
have
say.
been shipping a lot of goals. So, what do you think the scoreline would be?
It'll be a close game. I think Tottenham might take it 3-2, but it'll be a very, very close fixture.
Yeah.
We need to start the game all guns blazing and take it to Tottenham, push them back, and get in a couple of goals.
Right. I
That
would
should
love
be a strategy.
I love for Manchester United to win this game, maybe a 2-1, or at this moment I think it might be a draw, a 2-2, maybe a repeat of what we saw today. But yeah, given how we are doing on the pitch at this moment, I would not go against Tottenham beating us really badly or smashing us to bits, and Mourinho actually taking something back from Old Trafford.
I hope Dele Alli's brother turns up for the game and not the real Dele Alli.
Yeah.
So that'll be good signs for us. But going forward, it's an important game coming up in midweek. It'll be live on all platforms.
Yeah.
And we're really excited for that game. Please let us know what you feel about United's performances and what you think would the scoreline be for the United Tottenham game. And what do you think about Jose Mourinho's sort of homecoming at Old Trafford? So that brings us to the conclusion of this episode, Red Devils United. And as usual, please subscribe to our channel, share our content with other fans, share your comments and views with us in the comment section below. Press the bell icon to be notified of all our new videos and content. And until next time, ta-da!
Make sure you subscribe to the channel and also press the bell icon to stay updated on all the latest happenings regarding Manchester United.